So let's give a round of applause for Erik. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sophie. Wonderful job emceeing all day. I am your last speaker, the last person who will crave any attention from you. I hope everybody's had an absolutely wonderful conference. I just want to spend this little moment to thank Matthias and Martin and everyone at the BTC Prague team for putting together what is undisputably the best Bitcoin conference on the planet right now. Thank you, Matthias. Last year, for those of you who were here, I talked at length about the deep Bitcoin history of this beautiful city, from the defenestrations of the 15th, 14th, and 16th century, all the way to the revolution in 1989, leading to the rise of the cypherpunks, leading to the event that we are all gathered here today. I told that story to contextualize why we are here, why being at BTC Prague is not a trivial weekend activity. It's an act of rebellion by the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. And we have a secret weapon. We have a truth machine. I want to just tell you a few revelations that I picked up over the last few years, over the last decade being a Bitcoiner, and hopefully it is a message that you can bring with you from BTC Prague going forwards. First, my own Bitcoin story. I started out in the ultimate fiat world. I was an advisor to the president of the European Commission in Brussels. I was involved in every fiat crisis you could imagine, from the euro crisis to the migrant crisis to invasions of Ukraine. And I was pursuing nothing but status and power until someone was dumb enough to dump the Bitcoin white paper in my lap and confront me with the possibility of living in a more honest world than the one that I was deeply immersed in from the beginning. But having so many comforts, so many ego-satisfying things around me, it was a very terrifying, scary thing to let go of that world and pursue a more truthful one. At the time, I also didn't have any reason to pursue Bitcoin. I didn't have a family, and that is my first message to you. Before you think about stacking Bitcoin, think about who you're stacking Bitcoin for, and if you don't have anyone yet, make sure you build some or make some. You need someone to stack for. The other revelation was I didn't have anything to stack for. I lived in a nihilist culture that had been consuming itself for centuries, where every single dollar we were printing was burning more of it to the ground. What would really be my reason to keep it all alive and keep it all going? So realizing that I had to create a family, and realizing that I had to create a culture, and that to do so, I would have to make a complete break, I would have to burn the ship of the life that I had lived, was a terrifying decision to make. But there is a reason why in the Bible, the most repeated sentence is, do not be afraid. Because we live at a very unique moment right now. A moment where meta-narratives that are hundreds of years old are all breaking down at the same time. And you can sense it and feel it around you, the desperation and the fear of everyone that you talk to. They are hopeless, they are lost, they are not belonging to any story anymore. And you can easily be consumed by that same fear, but I'm here to tell you that this is an incredible moment of opportunity that very few other people in history get. It's a moment where the existing meta-narrative, it's not at its arc. It is not at its peak. It is at its end. And whoever is not afraid, whoever is willing to tell a story, whoever is willing to create a story that includes people and that people can gather around, has a very grateful, they can pick up the crown from the gutter and lead us into the future. So going out of BTC Prague, do not be afraid of telling a better story than the one we already have. One moment, I'm sorry. Yes, and the final thing is, we have now had Bitcoin culture grow and develop for a good decade. And in the last few years, we got extremely good at producing these very high-level events with such good signal, with incredible, beautiful art, with incredible minds on the stage, with expos from some of the most innovative and amazing businesses in the world. But it is a space that does not generate a culture that people can be a part of. So going forwards, we need a Bitcoin folk culture. We need open, accessible spaces that people can be a part of. And that is something that we as Bitcoiners inherently is a bit afraid of, at least on a subconscious level, because we like the story we've been telling ourselves. And opening up the space and making it more folksy means perhaps losing control of a bit of that narrative. So that is my last message of do not be afraid. Even though you may cherish very dearly the narrative you've been a part of for the last 10 years, realize that we're building a narrative that's going to be a civilization for 500, and you do not get to determine what shape or form it takes. And if we don't do that, someone else will. We are not the only ones trying to tell a narrative for the future. We are not the only ones trying to establish a story. So we need to get out there, we need to create a folk culture, and we need to not be afraid. Okay. With that said, I am so grateful to everyone who has come back to BTC Prague. After BTC Prague, after being in this space with all these great businesses and great minds and being here, I hope you will go home and level up by leveling down. Reach out to the communities around you, see where you live, and think about what you can contribute to that space to make it a Bitcoin culture. And Bitcoin culture does not mean shoving Austrian economics down people's throats or pushing on them the latest exchange. It means music and beauty and the things that we stay alive for. So, thank you all for coming to BTC Prague. I hope to see you again next year. And with that, I guess I hand it over to Matthias and Martin to close off the conference completely. Thank you.